story for Twin Peaks Fire Walk With Me is, well, this movie takes place, majority of this movie takes place before the events of Twin Peaks. This is actually the story of Laura Palmer's last days, the last 7 days, the last week of her life, and the events leading up to it, and as well as before even we talk about Laura Palmer, there's even some investigation of a murder Bob did beforehand. So we got to see all that happen, and then we get to see about Laura Palmer and how events led to her death. And that's the basic storyline. Um, yeah. Well, to those who want to watch, want to watch Twin Peaks, I don't suggest you start with this movie. You have to watch the series in order to get this movie. Not only because some references in it, because it's also because it's so fucking weird. It's more fucking weird than the actual show. It's just like you'll be so lost. You'll be like, what the hell is this? What the hell is nothing's making sense? Yeah, just don't watch the movie first. Watch the series first. And also watch the series first because this movie acts as both a prequel and an epilogue because they touch upon things that happen towards the end of the series that they touch upon again. But yeah, it is fucking weird. It's don't jump right into this. In fact, this movie was booed when it was first premiered because a lot of people didn't know what the hell to make of it, and also only the hardcore fans saw it, and even people who were fans didn't like it at first. Didn't like it because it wasn't the show. It wasn't only until years later they became praised and loved and whatnot because the phenomenon of Twin Peaks grew over time, and the people who love Twin Peaks really loved Twin Peaks. Eventually saw the movie when it was released and was like, oh my god, this is really good. It's just like the series or even better. La la la. And also David Lynch fans love how weird David Lynch is, and I have to admit I'm starting to like his weirdness too. So yeah, it's weird. It is the plot just kind of goes like this a little bit, but it is mostly about Laura Palmer's last days. There is some other little things here and there, but what you do see is quite interesting. I like the performances of all the different actors. Yes, some of it is kind of weird and silly, I will admit, and yet it kind of fits for what Twin Peaks was and everything because it kind of does explain some things. Like, well, I always thought that Laura Palmer's mom was just kind of like, disturbed by the death of her daughter, but actually you get to see she was disturbed before the death of her daughter, and you could see why. And it was just like, oh, so that's why, it gives nice reasons. And the characters, how they were portrayed is a little bit, is either the same or a little bit different, and you get the full picture also of Laura Palmer. We only got the tip of the iceberg with the TV series of who Laura Palmer really was. And with this year, it's like, yeah, that's, wow. That was a lot worse than I actually thought it was. How Laura Palmer was. Sometimes it's not always great to get the full iceberg about something, but in this case, because it left so much open, you just kind of needed to know, and you got a clearer picture of Laura Palmer that makes you go, yeah, I can see why she was murdered, or this and that, and why everything was connected and all that. So yeah, this film does make sense. Now, majority of the stuff that makes this movie an epilogue is mostly touched upon in the deleted scenes. There's only one instance in the actual movie to where they mention something that happens at the end of the series. I kind of don't want to give it away, and also if I explain it, it won't make fucking sense, because you never saw the series and the movie, so it won't make absolute sense at all, so I won't say it, I'll just say it. They touch upon it, and that's it. But in the deleted scenes, they do touch upon it a little bit more. There's actually a deleted scene called Epilogue. It takes place at the very end of the television series. They pick up a little bit more on that, and then it ends. So that's how it's an epilogue also. And also, some of the deleted scenes, you can see why they deleted them. They were just so out there and just didn't make absolute sense, or just slow, or hindered the movie, or just stopped it completely. So those deleted scenes were understandable. However, there was like one that I felt could have been in there. Yes, I can see why they deleted it because it just slowed things down, but at the same time, it's like it helped the ending make sense. Because when Laura Palmer dies, she goes into the red waiting room area, and she sees an angel, and she starts laughing and crying and just full of joy. And the deleted scene that takes place early in the film explains that. It was just like, that made absolute sense. The ending makes absolute sense now. So I could see, to me, that scene should have been in the movie somewhere if they could find it, but find a place to put it. But I can also understand why they deleted it. So yeah, the deleted scenes do help, but also hinder the movie by themselves, or just they're okay, but they're just full blown weird. But they are good. And it's interesting to see David Bowie and Kiefer Sutherland in this type of movie. Each character was interesting, unique, very well done, and this is the first David Lynch film I've ever seen. I've never seen any of his other movies or popular ones like Blue Velvet or Eraserhead, so I've never seen them. So this is like my first introduction to David Lynch's direction. So yeah, it was quite weird, and I do like it. I originally there was going to be more movies of Twin Peaks. If this was going to be successful, they would have made more movies to kind of continue on Twin Peaks. They would have actually told what happened after the end of the series with the sequel, or do more and like that. But because the film failed, they couldn't do that. And it was only until recent years with the phenomenon Twin Peaks and the praise the movie's beginning that they decided, okay, let's do something about that. How about we revive this series, have it take place 25 years later, and that's what they're doing now. They're actually filming that now, and I actually can't wait to see that. I'd like to see what goes on, especially the way the season 2 ended, which was like... So yeah, but yeah, all in all, I have to admit, this is good. I'm glad it's getting praised now. It is part of the Twin Peaks mythology, for lack of a better word. It's part of it, and it does fit well, and it's nice to know what Laura Palmer's last days were. The the Fire Walk with Me you can actually get by itself on DVD, but the only way you can get it on Blu-ray is actually with the Twin Peaks complete mystery Blu-ray set, and it'll be on Blu-ray. And it'll have the missing, deleted scenes, as well as some documentary stuff like making of and some other stuff as well. So yeah, if you're a fan or you just want to get to know Twin Peaks and you want to know the whole story, if you know somebody that has this, borrow it or get it yourself, because this is actually pretty dang good. And I quite enjoyed it. I've become a fan of Twin Peaks because of this, and overall it is really good. It's just weird at times, so you have to just go with the flow, like I said before in a previous review. But yes, it was actually quite interesting. I was kind of surprised by that, but at the same time just kind of like blown away in daze, just like, what the hell is this? The fan in me of Twin Peaks, Twin Peaks 1 gets Fire Walk with Me at least 4 or 5 stars because it fits with it really well. But at the same time, I kind of agree with the movie watcher going me and kind of like going, it's not entirely there. And I think I'd rather give this one 2.5 stars. Both the moviegoer in me and the fan in me would agree with 2.5 stars because it's good, but almost great. It was just like you did too much of the weirdness in there for something like that, particularly for somebody who's a fan of the TV series. People can disagree with me, and I'm fine with that. You know, hardcore fans would say, "Oh no, this is amazing, 5 stars." That's fine. If you think of that, that's it. But a part of me just kind of felt like it was just doing too much of the weirdness for it, and to me that there was more to Twin Peaks than just the weirdness. But yeah, but that's just me. So yeah, that actually completes my review of Twin Peaks for now, actually, until we get more of the revival series that I could probably touch upon this a bit more. So yeah, and I have to admit, this entire journey with Twin Peaks was actually pretty good and enjoyable. I do recommend the series, particularly if you're looking for something completely different and enjoyable to watch. Twin Peaks is something you might want to watch. So yeah, thank you for watching, and now I need to get myself some dang good coffee because I am tired. I've been up all night doing some stuff, and this series will keep you up at night just thinking about, oh, who killed Laura Palmer, who did this, what's going on. So yeah, it's like, and don't be afraid to have some donut parties when you watch the series. Get some donuts. When you watch the series, you'll understand why, but mostly because back in the day when Twin Peaks was high, when it was first airing on TV, people would have donut parties. They would get all their friends together, and they arranged the donuts like they are arranged in the TV series, get coffee, and just watch the series. So, and I had that with my mom. When we watched the last 2 episodes, we had a small donut party of just her and me having coffee and donuts. It was great. So yeah, have some damn good coffee and donuts when you watch this series. Have a nice one.